Hello, and welcome to our 401 project. I am Sam Gibbs.
And I am Luke McDonnell. In following the ideas of Donna Haraway, Anna Singh, and Heather Davis, we challenge apocalyptic notions of urban growth and disasters, and instead propose the idea of making with the city in an act of reassembly. They teach us to make with toxicity, make with the past, make with the impure, and make with the present and future. Situated in the context of a global pandemic which has partially shut down cities all around the world, consequently leaving streets as vacant stretches of asphalt and concrete, forcing us to question their necessity and their speculative futures.
Thinking of these ideas in the context of Des Moines and the Midwest as a whole, we focus on issues of flooding. Due to the larger environmental crisis, extreme disastrous floods continue to occur at alarming rates. Rather than provide solutions of prevention, we assist in re-landscaping flood-prone areas. Flooding, like the pandemic, affects neighborhoods at disproportional scales, and these crises must not be isolated but instead viewed as assemblages. We propose a speculative future where streets and highways become an irrelevant form of transportation and instead become beds for depaving with opportunities to reduce impervious surfaces.
In addressing building materiality, we chose to go with the counterintuitive option of concrete, but chose to do so in a way that emphasizes the interaction with the landscape. The concrete is designed to be cast around large recycled pieces of aggregate from depaved concrete slabs, ultimately reducing the required new material. Building with underground depths allows for reducing the impervious surfaces found in above-ground buildings. With the use of concrete, the building itself could be decomposed through the same process it houses, where the remains will be a site with the newly integrated matter into the landscape. Our building composition allows for the use of a concrete casting method where the earth can be used as the formwork for casting 3 different vaulted typologies. The process starts with the use of automated construction robots that begin to extract the ground. As these larger robots move closer to the moments of casting, smaller robots will sculpt to the form before the concrete is casted. This process then repeats as the earth gets filled back to ground level and the extra dirt will be redistributed within the landscape of the site.
To understand the potential issues of the construction process, we decided to experiment with this ground casting method. We began with digging a hole to a depth where we found more malleable dirt. Then, through carving and reforming, we created our molds. The concrete was then casted, cured, and in this case removed from the soil. What we took away from this experiment was the impact that the soil had on being able to create the molds. Current problems faced in the decomposition process of asphalt and concrete are often limited by the ability of various bacteria and enzymes to break down matter. Therefore, we speculate a process that involves both robots and enzymes as a single ecology that facilitates a decomposition process. The selection of robots, deconstruction robots, freight cars, conveyor belts, and micro-robots allow us to reconsider the program and design spaces of various scales. Given the robots will operate outside of the physical site boundaries, we must consider the program to extend beyond the site and blur with the assemblages of the city. Like the historical depot situated on our site, we plan to use rail as a form of transportation, providing a connection between the city. The city currently has plans to transform the remains of the decommissioned railroad into a bike path, but we propose to utilize the rail as a means of transportation for robots and materials with the future opportunity for transporting passenger cars.
The depaving begins with the use of the Brock robot, equipped with a jackhammer and other attachments. An autonomous cargo freight car moves the depaved concrete along the nearest rail access, ultimately delivering it to our site. Once arriving at the site, the material is transferred from the freight cars to a conveyor belt that moves the concrete into the composting pit. There, micro-robots live within the voids of the rubble and they begin to drill, cut, break, and apply bacteria and enzymes that expedite the decomposition process. Within the depot, growing root systems will later be integrated with the use of the micro-robots into the decomposted concrete. This new assemblage can then be relocated to floodplains in an effort to resist erosion. At these erosion sites, the concrete will act as an anchor for those new root structures to grow and intertwine with the ground, forming yet again a new reassemblage. This decomposition process accepts the idea that the concrete does not turn into this organic matter, but is rather an imperfect assemblage.
The main mass of our building is underground in order to maximize thermal insulation, minimize building footprint and impermeable surfaces, and derive our method of casting using the earth as formwork. In the entrance sequence through the lobby, there is a space for an experimental pavilion and an outdoor gathering space. In staying consistent with the idea of impermeable surfaces, we are utilizing wood slats for ramps and permeable pavers on stretches of flat circulation. The interior lobby is a series of vaulting. The private research labs, located a floor below the public entities, follow a single ramp around the perimeter of the pit. The main focus of these labs is researching new bacteria and enzymes on different materials such as asphalt and plastic that could later be decomposed within the pit alongside the concrete. In each research lab, there is a thickened wall in which researchers can place the bacteria for the robots to come and collect. This wall acts as a barrier between the two drastically different climate conditions, as well as a place of sharing and symbiosis between human and non-human.
Questioning the existence, purpose, and futures of roads is situated not in a single idea, but instead in the intersection of a global pandemic on top of an environmental crisis. A future without roads is not one without concrete, but instead one with concrete in different places and in new assemblages. Thank you for listening.